Two-year-old Jack Hagelin was born with symptoms eerily similar to a mysterious disease that killed 2 other baby boys on his mother's side of the family. He's been in and out of the hospital for the past year. Roy and Charlotte Hagelin now feel like they're in a race against time to save their son's life.
I searched high and low on the internet. I would stay up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning reading more medical articles than I ever thought I would read in my life.
We were sending him to the top specialists, not only in New Jersey, but all over the United States.
Then, in October of 2004, the Hagelins are referred to a top children's hospital in Ohio for a full workup. There they meet with Jack's new gastroenterologist, who sets up a series of tests with a team of specialists.
The following morning, a dental resident came in to the hospital room, and he kind of looked at Jack. He looked at Jack's teeth, looked at Jack's hair, and he says, "I think he has ectodermal dysplasia."
And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, this is a rare genetic disorder that affects the hair, the teeth, the nails, the skin, and the sweat glands." And he said, "Does your son sweat?" I said, "No, he doesn't."
But ectodermal dysplasia does not explain Jack's most serious symptom, his digestive problems. And after 4 days of testing, the gastroenterologist has no explanation either.
He said, "I just want you to see another doctor before you leave." And we stayed to see this allergist immunologist.
The immunologist reads Jack's charts and performs a thorough exam. Then she tells them something they're completely unprepared for.
She thought that Jack might have this rare primary immune deficiency that went along with ectodermal dysplasia.
And she said, "Well, I want to run some testing." She ordered some more blood work, and she said it would take several weeks before we would get those results.
Unsure what to think, the Hagelins take 2-year-old Jack back home and wait for the call from Cincinnati. But before the results are back, Jack suddenly spikes a fever and refuses to eat. Charlotte and Roy rush him to their local ER, where the doctor orders a chest X-ray.
He said, "It looks like he could have pneumonia."
When they tell the ER doctor Jack's history, he immediately tracks down the immunologist in Cincinnati.
She said, "Jack needs to go down to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia now. There's a doctor down there, Dr. Orange, who knows all about this immunodeficiency that Jack may have, and he needs to get down there because the pneumonia could be life-threatening."
So 2-year-old Jack is put into an ambulance and rushed to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
It was so similar to my nephew. I thought that was it. I really thought we were going to lose him that time.
Jack's in the ambulance, Charlotte's in the ambulance, and I'm following behind, and I'm crying my eyes out. "Hey, look, if this is it for Jack, do it quick."
When they arrive, Jack is admitted to the pediatric intensive care unit, where he is examined by Dr. Jordan Orange.
When I first saw Jack, of course, he was quite ill. He was skinny, he was breathing heavily. So first we treated his pneumonia, we treated his infections, and we tried to nurse him back to health.
Dr. Orange is also consulting with Jack's immunologist in Cincinnati, and he agrees that all of Jack's symptoms could be due to a disorder that weakens the body's natural immune system.
He really felt that Jack had this rare genetic disorder called NEMO.
I was like, "NEMO?" I said, "That's a fish."
NEMO is not a fish, but it's a gene. And it's a gene that makes a very important protein in a cell called the NF-kappa B essential modulator. What that does, it's a master switch inside of cells. You need to be able to turn this switch on when you need these cells to do something, like fight an infection. And you need to be able to turn these cells off when you don't want them to do something, like attack your own body.
The NEMO gene is found in almost all human cells. In someone with NEMO deficiency disorder, the gene is defective, causing a communication breakdown between the cell nucleus and membrane. Without clear instructions from the nucleus, cells cannot function properly. This leads to massive organ and system malfunction. The disease only strikes boys, passing from mothers to sons on the X chromosome. Left untreated, NEMO deficiency is deadly.
Ultimately, the only way to confirm the diagnosis that I suspected was to do a genetic test of Jack's DNA.
3 weeks later, the test confirms what Dr. Orange already suspects. Jack has NEMO deficiency disorder.
So the mutation in Jack's NEMO gene results in a great number of problems. One is that their immune systems don't work. Part of Jack's severe diarrhea and an inability to tolerate food, essentially, was caused by one of these unusual mycobacterial infections that had set up shop in his gut and was actually wreaking havoc there. Another problem is ectodermal dysplasia. Children who have this don't sweat appropriately. They can get really high fevers, and they can even die from these fevers.
In other words, Jack's bout with pneumonia could have been his last.
But if we had not made the diagnosis, it was very likely that Jack was going to die, and that Jack was going to die relatively soon.
Jack is started immediately on intravenous immunoglobulin therapy, also known as IVIG. These are antibodies derived from donor blood, and they give Jack the ability to fight infection.
There was an immediate change after Jack started his IVIGs. He was just a healthier Jack.
After a few months of IVIG and antibiotic therapy, Jack improved significantly.
He went from having hospital stay to hospital stay to hospital stay to almost having no hospital stays.
Once Jack is out of danger, Dr. Orange decides to test other members of his family. He discovers that Charlotte is a carrier of the mutated gene, as are her mother and sister. And after all these years, he finally solves the mystery of what killed Charlotte's twin brother and her nephew. It was NEMO deficiency disorder.
It made me feel very guilty that it came from my side of the family, but it was a breath of fresh air, knowing that we finally have an answer.
Roy and Charlotte are astonished to find out how close they came to not getting an answer at all.
NEMO deficiency was impossible to diagnose because it was unknown, and it was only in late 2000 that it actually entered the medical literature.
Today, 1 year after his diagnosis, Jack is a rambunctious 3-year-old. But he isn't completely cured. NEMO is a very serious condition.
Jack's IVIG therapy does plug some of the holes that NEMO deficiency creates in his immune system, but it doesn't plug all of the holes. Any infection that Jack gets could be his last.
The next step is stem cell transplant therapy, where cells from donated bone marrow are transplanted directly into Jack's body. If it succeeds, it will give him a healthy new immune system. The procedure is scheduled to take place shortly before his 4th birthday.
He's a strong-willed kid like I've never seen before in my life. And that's the best part about Jack, because of his fight and his drive. I think that's what's going to put him over with the stem cell, too.
We'd like to try and give Jack life, and a stem cell transplant could give Jack the life that the other boys didn't have.
Doctors eventually traced Jack Hagelin's condition all the way back to his DNA.